Happy Monday, YouTube. Today's March 9th, and welcome to AGK's Vinyl Life. I'm Anthony K, and on today's video, I'm going to be showing you classic record and cassette tape accessories you need to own and use. I've been using a number of these things for many years, and while there's great products on the market now that I own and use, you can't beat some of these classics. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to get subscribers, and all those likes are really helpful. Turn notifications on, ring that bell, whatever they say, and come back because I hope to post a video every Monday like this. And so let's get on with it. Let's do this. So first thing, like I said, we're doing classic record and tape accessories. First thing I'm going to show you today, and I guess I'll show you this first, because Frank Landry from channel 33 RPM did show this about a week ago, which I had already planned on doing this video when Frank showed this, but I'm going to go ahead and show this anyhow. A lot of you know what this item is. I'm just going to go into a little more in depth about it, and that is, of course, the disc washer system. This thing here, probably the best record brush ever made. I know there's copies of it that you can buy now on Amazon and such places, but you can't beat the original, because the copies, though they try to imitate this, they don't have the exact design. They don't have the type of fiber that was wrapped on the cleaning head. They're good, but they're not the same as this. This was a one-directional cleaning product. It's a classic. If you can find one of these out in the wild, get one. I know they don't make them anymore. Like I said, there's copies of them out there, but you can't beat the original. You know, just you can't. And I've been using this thing. I've had this thing since, oh my gosh, I'm guessing mid-late 70s, maybe early 80s, but I think mid-late 70s till now. And I do use it regularly, and it hasn't worn a bit since I purchased it. So this is the disc washer. This is this was originally the DC1, but of course I upgraded to the D4 cleaning fluid. But this is the unit. As you can see, I've got the unit here, box with all its original. I got the original instructions, warranty, everything's in here. As you can see, there's the original instruction. The cover was just very unusual. It was actually wood bark. This is actually a bark. It's printed on a wood bark thing. Really original. You don't see manuals like this anymore. This is printed on bark. And of course it showed you everything. So that's the original. These were Canadian made. Fantastic thing. The disc washer logo on the end here with an arrow, and this arrow is pointing in which way you were supposed to hold the brush and use the brush, because as you know, the bristles on this thing, or padding on this thing, only went one way, so you had to use it in the direction like this, in the direction that it indicated. In the end here, as you can see, it doesn't come out. In the end here was this little tool, which was used to clean the brush off after you've cleaned a record. And then you could just flick the dust off it with your finger. So that was what that was for. Inside was a bottle of D4 cleaning fluid. I actually have quite a few bottles of this, because when I bought this, I bought it at a record show, and or a stereo show, and so they gave me a whole, like a case of D4 bottles extra as a bonus with it. So, and I actually still have some of this fluid. It hasn't worn out over the years, still works fine. But I'm going to tell you how you can make your own D4 fluid as well. That works just as well as the D4 fluid that's in here. So that was the D4 fluid. What you did was you put on the edge right here of the brush, the arrowed edge, right on the edge, you would drop. I put 4 to 5 drops on. They'd say 3 to 4. I put 4 to 5 drops on. Then you'd rub it in, make sure there's a nice smooth line of fluid along there. Then you would hold it against the record like this and go around the record, first putting the fluid on the record and then drying the record. But I do this not on the turntable. I know that other people have shown you doing it on the turntable, and I find it's not as effective. I mean, if you're going for light dust, use a carbon fiber brush. It's just as good. I found these more for medium to heavy dust on a record that was really, or even had fingerprints or whatever. Not that I touch my records, but you sometimes bring some home from the wild, and you don't, before you have time to put them through your, you know, your spin cleaner, whatever cleaning method you do, you want to play them. If they're not too bad, this certainly works just fine for cleaning them up. But I use a different method of cleaning the records with this brush, because if you really want to clean it, you have to put pressure down on this brush. And as soon as you put pressure on the spinning turntable, of course, you're straining your motor, your belts. You probably, chances the turntable is just going to slow down and stop completely with any sort of pressure. So you're not really able to clean it properly. So I would clean these off of the turntable. When I put a record on the turntable, I don't use this on the turntable. I use it off the turntable, and I'll show you how I use it on a record off the turntable. So as I was saying, using this on a turntable, of course, the minute you put the cleaning edge on the turntable and put any sort of pressure, your turntable is probably going to want to slow down, and the belt's going to want to start slipping. The motor's going to take strain. So to get any sort of good cleaning, using it on a turntable is not going to do that. And just holding it lightly on the turntable is going to be no better than using a carbon fiber brush. So I find when I use this thing, I use it off the turntable. And now I put it on actually my leather stool that I sit and use for my videos, but I actually dropped my record right on this leather stool because it doesn't get static. It's pretty good for static on this thing, but I recommend using any sort of surface, soft surface, if you have a piece of leather or something, whatever, a soft surface, put it down on it, hold it, and now you can put real good pressure on, bring your brush around like this. Do it maybe 2 or 3 times around with the wet edge, then turn it to here to dry. This way you can put a lot of pressure down and really get the fiber deep in the grooves. See, I'm putting a lot of pressure down, and this way I get the fiber deep into the grooves and really give it a good cleaning. And then I put it on the far edge just to take off any excess liquid that might have still been on there. And I do that for both sides. And because this is a stool that spins, like you'll have to do it the way I just showed you. But because it's a stool that spins, I just put it on and like so. And put a lot of pressure on and turn it like this. Then go to the middle, keep turning it. Then the far end, keep turning it like so. That gives you a real deep clean. To me, that is the best way to use this brush. That way you get a deep clean, not on the turntable. Set yourself up something similar. If you have something you can spin around like this, I do with this stool, fantastic. If not, you can just hold it and put pressure on and bring it around. And that's how you get a good deep clean with this disc washer. That's the disc washer system. Great, fantastic. If you can find one, you can't beat it. It is the best handheld cleaning brush ever made, hands down. Look for them. Don't accept any substitute. And the fluid. Now, like I said, the D4 fluid that came with it, you can't, of course, they don't make it anymore. There's recipes out there on how to make it and this and that. I do have a few bottles of this stuff still here that I use. But I also came up with a system that works just as well. Because what you do, and it's so simple, is anybody that knows the spin clean system, the spin clean system, of course, comes with, you use distilled water in it, and comes with a special cleaning fluid. And you put 3 cap loads of the cleaning fluid over the brushes in your spin clean system. If you don't know what a spin clean is, they're probably the most popular cleaning system for records out there. They run around $100. You can look it up on the internet. Maybe one day I'll show you all how it works. But I know there's a lot of videos out there on the spin clean. So they have a basin that you fill with distilled water, and then you put 3 capfuls of this fluid over the cleaning brushes, and that's going to do about 30 or so records. So I thought about it and said, well, why why not use spin clean fluid for the disc washer? So what I do is I have an empty bottle of this. I fill this bottle up with distilled water, just like a spin clean, but obviously I don't put 3 capfuls in because the spin clean basin is so much bigger. I just figured it out that if 3 capfuls does a spin clean basin, then a few drops of spin clean fluid into the distilled water in this bottle, and you can just, you know, take a guess on how much to put in. I put, you know, like probably what's equivalent to a quarter third capful of spin clean fluid into the water, shake it up, and now you got some cleaning solution. And it's the same cleaning solution, and it's pretty much the same concentration as you're using in a spin clean. And then I will put those drops on my brush, use the same system for cleaning, and it works great. Works absolutely great. If you use a spin clean system, distilled water and some spin clean fluid, and away you go. You've got yourself some defloor. So that's the disc washer. So next up, I'm going to show you something else here. Then you probably have seen these. These two have also been duplicated and are for sale. But this is the original. This is the original, and it was made by the people that made disc washer. And it was the Zerostat anti-static gun. And this is the original disc washer, and these were made in England. Yes, made in England, and distributed by Disc Washer. And this is the original Zerostat, and you can still get these static guns today, but this is an original, still in great shape. I still use it. And inside, as you can see, is the Zerostat. Fantastic little thing. There's the manual. And this was for people that live in static environments like I do, and you would just basically like that around your record, and it would remove the static charge. So that's the Zerostat anti-static gun, the original. Still works like a charm today. I don't use it that much because I've found other ways to cope with my static situation, and maybe I'll discuss that in a future video, and that's platter mats. I use a Hudson Hi-Fi acrylic platter, and that cut my static on the turntable to 0. But I've used cork mats, felt mats, rubber mats, and for me the best thing that completely eliminated my static problems was the Hudson Hi-Fi acrylic platter mats. But yeah, there you are. You should try to get one. You can get these modern version of these nowadays, but there you have the original made in England, disc washer distributed Zerostat, a fantastic static gun. So that's that. Now, as you all know, everybody probably uses a carbon fiber brush, which they all look the same now and are made. I think they're probably all made by the same manufacturer, and just people put their name on it and sell them. But you can't beat the carbon fiber brush for your dropping on the turntable records to get rid of that light dust. Like I said, using one of these on the turntable is the same as using a carbon fiber brush. If you really want to get the best out of this, you need to use this off turntable. So of course there's the carbon fiber brush, and here you have the original 80s carbon fiber brush. Similar, yeah, see, similar there. Similar to the bristles of the new ones. The new ones are very plasticky and this and that. Because the idea is these got rid of static, and they have, instead of being a little flip thing like the new ones, and I do have the flip ones, I do use it all the time. This is my old classic. They came on this little thing that you would just, you can see it's got a little ledge on there, and you would just stick this on here. There's like a slot in the end to fit on there, and you would run it across like that to remove your dust. And that's the original record brush, made in England also. Made in England. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see inside, but there's wood in there. The bristles are held in wood, and the whole idea of these things was, and as you can see here, there's a thing that says 0 ohms, and a little silver circle that touches down into the wood block. And the idea of this is to keep this from building up a static charge as well. You would touch it here and ground it with your body. your own body would remove the static charge from this brush. You would ground it with your finger on there. And that's why it was 0 ohms there to show, because, you know, this thing, though it's an anti-static instrument, it would retain the static charge. But that's why the bristles are mounted in a wood block here to ground the static charge. And this thing had some weight to it. This has got some weight to it. If you can find one of these, I highly recommend this even over one of the new ones. This thing is just great. I've had this thing since the 80s, I'm thinking. Probably got it at a record show as well. Like I said, made in England, the original record brush, carbon fiber cleaning brush. Fantastic, fantastic. So if you can find one of those, grab it. Next on the list, we're going to do some cassette tape accessories. I want to keep this video short today because my last couple have been pretty long. Next on the list are cassette tape accessories. And I know a lot of you out there that watch, besides vinyl records, you guys are into cassette tapes as well and collecting cassette tapes. Well, probably some of the things you don't know is that that you might not know is that your cassette deck heads, and the head is the magnetic head that pushes into the tape that reads the tape when you play it. Those get dirty and build up a magnetic charge. So that needs to be taken care of. Some of you probably know that you can clean that with some Q-tips and alcohol swab. Just take a Q-tip, put some rubbing alcohol on it, clean your heads of your tape deck, because that tape, those cassette tapes, the material on them actually rubs off on the heads and coats your heads, and then your sound on your tapes will become muddy and suppressed and not sound good anymore. So you need to clean the head and what's called the pinch roller. The pinch roller is the rollers that went up into the side of the cassette tape, because in the center was where the head went up, and there were 2 rollers that went up that would actually help the tape transport along. So you need to clean what's called the pinch rollers and the head with Q-tip and alcohol, or you can use this device right here, and this is a cassette tape deck head cleaning system. And these were all the rage, especially with some cassette decks where you couldn't even reach down inside to get to the heads because they have a door that pops out, and trying to get a Q-tip in there and do a proper cleaning was really, really, really hard. So they came up with this thing here, which was a cleaning system for cassette tape heads. I'm going to take it out here. If you can find one of these things are fantastic. So as you can see here, it's got some gears and some pads on it. Now these pads here clean all up in the pinch roller system. Here, here, and here. Pinch roller. This cleans the head of the tape. This cleans your pinch rollers. These 2 things here clean the pinch rollers. This cleans the head. And what you do is you put a few drops of rubbing alcohol on these pads, and on these pads. Just regular old everyday rubbing alcohol. Soak these pads in the rubbing alcohol. Just put it on an eyedropper or whatever and soak up these pads good with rubbing alcohol. Drop this in your cassette deck, press play. And basically what happens is the heads push up against this thing here, and the tape mechanism drives this thing. And as you can see, this thing moves back and forth across your tape head, cleaning it. And once you're playing it, it's moving at a pretty good speed, and this thing's rubbing back and forth across your tape head. And as you can see, this thing's moving back and forth, cleans your tape deck beautifully. So if you can find one of these out in the wild, get one. They are fantastic, and you need it if you're into cassette tapes. So there you are, automated cassette tape cleaning, head cleaning, and of course it cleans pinch rollers, of course, they spin and rub against these 2 pads. So not only does it clean your pinch rollers and your tape heads, it does it all in one, and in like 30 seconds. You can just put this in your tape deck, let it run for like a minute or whatever, you're good to go. Do this like once a week. If you're playing tapes often, do this like once a week and you're good to go. Try to find one of these things. Fantastic. Our next accessory is for people that, like I said, heads get dirty. They also got magnetized. Tape is magnetic. So your heads would get magnetized with magnetic field coming off the tapes. And as your tapes heads get magnetized, the sound level decreases, gets muddy, gets very bassy. High end goes right away when they get too magnetized. So you probably didn't know this, but you need a tape deck head demagnetizer. I don't know what's on the market now. I haven't researched them because I've got, like I said, I've had this one for years. If there's anything similar out there, by all means find it. But what I have here is a TDK, who of course made the best, as far as I'm concerned, even over Maxell, TDK made the best blank tapes out there for recording yourself. And this is a TDK tape head demagnetizer. And what it is, it's a little circuit, as you can see in here. There's some circuitry in there. Runs on a couple of those little tiny batteries that you just can replace very easily. There's a little thing there to change the battery. And just like you did with the cleaning thing, you use this. This is a TDK head demagnetizer model HD01. Love this thing. It works like a charm. And basically, like I said, it's got a little circuitry in there. And this demagnetizes your heads. And it's got a pad there. So basically, drop this in your cassette deck. Press play again. Don't have your amplifier on though, because you might get a feedback sound through your amplifier. So make sure your receiver is turned off, just your tape deck on, press play, and what happens is the head pushes against this thing, which turns it on, and a little red light comes on. See the little red light? Little red light comes on, showing that it's demagnetizing your tape head. And that's all there is to it. Put that in for, I think it was like 15 seconds or something. Your heads are demagnetized. Away you go. Done. Tape head demagnetizer, TDK. See if you can find something like this out there in the wild. Fantastic. Must have for all you cassette tape people. Because you need to take care of your cassette deck if you want to enjoy your cassette tapes. So head cleaning and demagnetizing. And last but not least in the cassette tape accessories is, once in a while, your tape deck eats a tape. And we all know what I'm talking about. It starts winding into your cassette deck, and you open the door and you yank the tape out, and there's all sorts of tape. And then you got your finger in the spool trying to wind it back into the tape. But without doubt, some of the tape gets chewed and damaged. Well, you can't play that cassette tape with a chewed and damaged tape in there, because once the tape is crinkled and chewed, every time you come to that spot on the tape, it's going to want to wind into your cassette deck again, because it's no longer, the tape is no longer flat. It's going to want to repeatedly do the same thing. So you need to remove, unfortunately, you need to remove that section of tape that got damaged, that got crinkled, or you're going to have constant problems with that tape when it gets to that area of it getting caught and stuck and then winding into your cassette deck. So what they came up with, I don't know if you can still get these, you can find them, great, is this is a tape splicer. And it comes with a spool of, basically, it's, you know, it's not Scottish tape, but it's similar material to the actual tape itself, cassette tape itself. And this is to repair it. And this is called a tape splicer. And so basically what it was used to do was to splice tape together that had been broken, or in the case of a chewed up tape, cut out that damaged section of tape and splice the two clean ends of the tape back together. So basically you're gonna pull the tape out of the cassette shell, and this thing opens up like so. These two little arms come up like this, and you're gonna lay your cassette tape across here. You're gonna have the clean area of the tape out here, the damaged area of the tape in here. You're then going to close these arms on the tape to hold the tape in place. You're going to switch this to cut and push this down. And this is going to do a clean cut through the tape. Lift these up again, take the tape out, put the other end of the damaged area in there, slap it down, cut. Done. So you've now cut and removed, pull these out, you've now cut and removed the damaged section of the tape. I just dropped my pad out of here. Just get that. Okay, so there we go. So you've now cut out the damaged section of tape, and you've now got two angled ends of tape that you're going to then splice back together to make your tape clean again. So you're now going to be able to put the tapes in, put the two ends of the tape in here and overlap them slightly. Just put the tape in there, put the two ends of the tape in here like so and like so, meeting, just overlapping in the middle. Overlap in the middle, drop these down. Keep it uncut, give it one more cut, and what that's going to do is make a nice clean cut. Blow out the little bits of tape that were cut. You now have two perfectly lined up pieces of tape, of your cassette tape. Two perfectly lined up pieces, cut, ready for that. You now take some of this stuff here, peel it off, and it's just like Scotch tape. It's a very light tape. Like that. You want a little chunk, maybe about that big. Cut that off with a pair of scissors. Push that over the two joined ends of the cassette tape in there. Like so. Switch this to trim, because as you can see there's a diagonal cutting head and a trimming head, and they're razor blades. They're little tiny razor blades on either side. Razor blade, razor blade, razor blade, razor blade. And you're going to put it to the trim side now, like this, down. Push it down, and what that's going to do is trim off the sides that are overlapping off the side of the cassette tape. It's going to trim off the sides of this repair tape. Lift it up, and all you'll have left is a nice cassette tape running through there, now sealed with this stuff here. Wind it back into the shell, and you're ready to go. So that is a tape splicing kit. A repair tape splicing kit for cassette tapes. A definite must-have if you're somebody that uses cassette tapes, because this little tool right here will repair all those damaged tapes that you might get, because it happens. They do wind out of shells and get eaten by cassette decks, and rather than throwing them in the garbage, you just cut out the section, and maybe the song will be playing and you'll be missing a couple, like literally a couple seconds of the song, depending how bad the area was. But at least you don't lose the tape, and you can splice it back together with one of these cassette tape splicing kits. Classic. I got this 70s, 80s. Look for one of these if you can. All of these items I'm showing you I bought in the late 70s or early mid 80s. So try to find them. They are all fantastic. So those are cassette tape accessories. I've shown you a couple of record accessories, cassette tape accessories. Last but not least, before I go, just a quick something else here that I dug up the other day. Look at these monsters. These are tanks. They weigh a ton, but actually they sound fantastic. These are Cassette Pro 4 AAA studio quality headphones. And all you people listening to Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, any album that was made in the 70s, chances are the engineers in the studios were using these Cassette. These were the thing. These were it. These were it. These were the best. These were the top line. These are what the airline pilots used. These things. These were, and these ones actually look. They're still in perfect condition. They still sound great. I can still use them on my amplifier. I'll show you in a second. I do have another pair of headphones, modern ones I use. But these things, fantastic. They were clunky and big, and you can tell they were made in the 70s, but they don't make headphones like this anymore. They really don't. And this here was to put a microphone on. Because like I said, these were used in studios. These were Studio Pro headphones. And chances are that a lot of these old records that you listen to on your turntables, the technicians in the studios were using these Cassette Pro 4 AAA headphones while they were recording the album and doing their mixing. So a little piece of memorabilia for you. These still work fantastic. I don't use them much anymore. They had special cushioned ear pads that just sucked right over your ear. Great. These things are fantastic. Real little nice thing to have, just to have as memorabilia if you want something for like the best headphones of the 70s. These ones are from 1976. And as you can see, I've kept them in perfect condition. And these are for anybody's record collection, because that is what a lot of your records from the 70s were mixed using these things. Last but not least, now, like I said, I don't use those much anymore. What I use now is basically these things right here. Love them. These are Onkyo audio headphones. These are what I use now on my iPhone and whatnot. Onkyo. And these are the Maiden audio headphones. These are Maiden audio by Iron Maiden. Designed with Onkyo by Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. Anybody that listens to metal, These things are the you know what. These things are the you know what. These things are fantastic. Love these. So these are Onkyo Made in Audio headphones right here. Absolutely love them. Highly recommend them. Especially if you're listening to metal, because these things really perform when listening to metal albums. And they even have an app that goes on your iPhone or your Samsung or whatever that you use. That's called the Made in Audio app that works in conjunction with these to even fine tune. It's like an equalizer for these to even fine tune your iPhone to make your digital recordings sound way better than they already do. Way better than they do, period. If you use that app in conjunction with this to listen to your music, they sound great. But these things sound great plugged into a stereo amplifier. Highly recommend. Made in Audio by Onkyo. Fantastic headphones. And that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope I have entertained you again. Please remember, comments below. Like and comment. Please, I could use the likes, could use the subs. So anything, any questions, you know what to do. Comment below. And don't forget to look me up on Instagram, AGK_lifetime of vinyl, where I post daily spin of the days there. And I'll see you all next week. Coming next week, I'm not sure if I'm going to show vinyl next week. I did go to a record store this weekend, and I filmed a record store. So that's going to be coming up either next week or the week after. But I went into one of my favorite record stores. I talked with the owner and did a tour of the store, and you'll be seeing that on my YouTube in a future episode. I'm not sure when yet. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. Until then, everybody have a great week. Be careful on Friday the 13th this Friday. Watch out for Jason. Take care. Bye for now. Cheers.